Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about becoming a better photographer and challenging yourself creatively and the kind of things that I do to challenge myself creatively. And it happens to be a beautiful day in the winter, so let's go for a walk in the woods. So I don't really want to talk about gear today, but I just wanted to mention that I'm using a switch pod to hold my camera rig up. We talked about it before on the channel, and we'll put a link to it in the description below. It's a really cool tripod slash vlogging handle thing that you can use. Check it out in the description below. It's really cool. Bill and I are both using it now. It's a great new product. So speaking of gear, we talk a lot about gear on this channel. We review cameras, we review lenses, accessories, and all the things that go into being a photographer, things that are necessary, things that you need, products that'll help your photography get better, but it's really not always all about the gear. A lot of times it's just about getting out there and taking pictures. I'm going to put some links to videos in the end where Bill talks about becoming a better photographer, and one of the main things is just going out there and shooting. Always be shooting. Take your camera everywhere with you. Give yourself things to do with it. Be shooting all the time, and you're just going to become better naturally just by doing that. But I find sometimes with myself, and I know other people that I talk to, you can get into a rut. You can have periods of time where you're not shooting as much as you should be, or you're not really doing anything differently than you were doing before. Finding ways to get out of that rut and to challenge your creativity not only helps in the short term, but it's going to help you in the long term also in being a better photographer. Giving yourself objectives and goals and things that you have to do and deadlines that you have to meet, even if it's not external, even if it's only self-imposed, kind of goes a long way to challenging yourself, to pushing you further, to making you get results and making you do the things that you want to do to become a better photographer. So like I said before, we talk about gear a lot here, and one of the things I find is, I have a lot of lenses. I have a lot of prime lenses. I have some zooms, and sometimes you have too much gear. Especially if I'm carrying my full bag of stuff. It's 20-something pounds. It's a lot of lenses to change and things like that. And sometimes that actually limits my creativity. It slows me down to the point where, I'm not really exercising my photography. I'm just, getting a lens that works in the situation and basically getting a plain, mundane shot. And I find myself not being happy with it at the end. So it's almost like too much gear is just too much of a good thing. When you can do anything, when you can reach into your camera bag and take out any lens for any situation, that's what you're going to use. If you're walking to a situation where, this is a wide angle composition, you grab your ultra wide angle or wide angle lens and you make it work. And it's great, but it's kind of what you expected. It's kind of what everybody else is doing. So I find one of the best ways to really have more fun with photography and find more creative ways to do things is to really give yourself self-imposed limitations. And one of my favorite ways to do that is really with the lenses. I'll go out often into a place that I've been, many times before, whether it's the Disney parks or we live in New York City, going into New York City, and I'll go out with one lens, and a lens that doesn't even really make sense in that situation. I'll go out with, it's an 85mm 1.4 lens, or a 135 2.0. Sometimes I'll just take one big telephoto lens, or I'll just go out and shoot with a 24mm tilt shift for the day, and just have that one lens on your camera, no other gear hanging off you, no bags to carry around. Just have that one lens for the day and shoot with just that. So I'll find in doing that, I'm creating compositions and getting images I never would have gotten before. Like I said before, you walk into a situation where maybe it's a building or a piece of architecture with some nice foreground elements. And in that situation, perfect for a wide angle lens. And that's normally what I would go to. You walk into something, you say, this is the shot, this is the composition, and you get it and you move on. But now you don't have it. I walk into a situation like that, but all I have is an 85mm lens on. Well, now I got to get creative. Maybe I'm going to move back and try to get some shots. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Maybe I have to just zero in on the details or really try to get some kind of crazy angles that I wouldn't have gotten before, get down on the ground, try to work the scene with the limitations that I've set on myself and try to do something totally different. And it usually turns out that it's something I never would have done before. I'm usually getting compositions that I wouldn't have thought of in the first place because I had to. I had no other choice. That was the only lens I had with me, and that's all I got. So I find doing that, now when I go back out and I have a bag full of lenses, I've been in those situations before now, and I've learned to use other lenses. I've used to shoot in different ways that I ordinarily wouldn't have before. But I know going into that situation, you know what I could also use? I can also use the 85mm and get these kinds of shots in a totally different situation. Or vice versa, stuff I would normally shoot long telephoto, put an ultra wide lens and get something completely different than I would have gotten before. So it's a lot of fun, not just to fall back on the same stuff that we use over and over again, but to learn how to use all your different focal lengths and all your different apertures in situations you wouldn't normally use them. So something else I'll do is I'll go out and shoot in a day and I'll say, you know what, no matter what situation I come across, I'm only gonna shoot black and white today, no matter what. And I don't love shooting black and white. I'm not really good at it, and maybe it's because I don't do it often enough. I would love to get out there and be able to create better black and white images. So I'll go out for a day, and no matter what situation I come across, no matter how colorful, no matter how great a color photo would look, I'm only gonna shoot black and white. And it's fun to be able to limit yourself and actually explore a different way of shooting than you would normally do. And I talked about apertures. Maybe if you have a wide lens, like a 1.8 or a 1.4, just shoot wide open all day. No matter what the situation is, only shoot with that lens wide open, see what you get. If you're shooting at night and you would normally use a tripod to take long exposures, don't use a tripod. Limit yourself. Only shoot handheld, prop it onto a fence post or a garbage pail or something if you can, but don't use a tripod. Just different things to try to change the way you think going into each situation. So now when I go into, I've been doing this for years, and I have a lot of fun doing it, and I find when I go into situations now, I'm remembering all the different ways I've ever shot with all of my different gear and using it to my advantage. Using it to get not just that one shot when you first see a scene and you say, oh, this is what this is, but using it to get 10 or 15 different shots at all different angles. Let me just show you the bridge that I'm about to walk across here. Okay, I just walked through that path, and here's the bridge I'm going to take a walk across now. So let's just take a moment and walk across and see how it goes. How about like that? And there we go, something different. But like I said, challenge yourself, try different things, and make yourself get out there and shoot. Make yourself go out there and do things. If you're not on Instagram, then get on Instagram. Set up an Instagram account. If you are on Instagram, set yourself up with a schedule where you're shooting, where you're posting a photo, once a week. Let's say Saturday morning, no matter what, you have to post a unique new image every Saturday morning. And talk about it. Talk about your experience that went into it, your settings and things like that. But challenge yourself to do something consistently over and over again. And in doing that, now you're basically on a clock. You have to do this every single week, and it's definitely going to enhance your creativity and your way of seeing things and your way of shooting. If you're someone who shoots, the same stuff, a lot of similar things over and over again, if you're on Instagram, look at your Instagram grid of all of your shots, and if you find that they're all shots of a barn on a sunny day, go somewhere else. Go into the city, spend a night in the city, walking around, getting shots there. Do something totally different. If all of your shots are in the cityscapes, get in the car and head out to the country and take some pictures of cows and waterfalls and barns and things like that. Do different things that you would ordinarily wouldn't have done. So I guess since we're coming up on the new year, maybe that's, I don't want to say New Year's resolution, but that's kind of a New Year's challenge. Something to do in 2020 is, mix it up a little bit. Do something different. Challenge yourself creatively. It's great to have these zoom lenses that can do basically anything. I've got a couple that I love, but I don't like using them for that reason. It's almost like, it's almost too much. You can almost do anything you want with them, and then you're not doing anything differently. So yeah, I guess that's, the new year is upon us. Try something new, try something different. Definitely want to hear from you. Put it in the comments below if you have any things that you do to try to challenge yourself, to try to mix things up, to try to, help your creative juices flow. Put them in the comments below. We love to hear from you. I'm going to put links here to videos that we did where Bill talks about becoming a better photographer. Definitely check those out. They're a lot of fun. Yeah, like I said, try something new. Thanks for coming on this walk in the woods. Happy New Year, and thanks for watching.